As most of you know, I'm that crazy engineer dad that has been coming to testify since November of 2014, almost 4 years, regarding the math TEKS. My name is Randy Houchins, a mechanical engineer and practical user of mathematics. It has been 17 months since I have testified to this board. In April of 2017, all but 5 of you decided to not take action and start fixing the math TEKS. Thank you, Mr. Bradley, Mr. Mercer, Ms. Cargill, Mr. Maynard, and Ms. Miller, for having the courage to vote in favor of Texas students and parents that want better education for their children. For the rest of you, how far have we come in math education as a result of the inaction of the Board of Education? Let's look at the results of the TA STAR assessments by reviewing the minimum passing scores. So the 2 graphs that I've got for you summarize minimum passing scores. For the 2017-18 school year, 50% is passing in 3rd grade, 50% is passing in 4th grade, 47% is passing in 5th grade, 36.8% is passing in 6th grade, 40% in 7th grade, 45% in 8th grade, 37% in Algebra 1 in the fall, and 35% Algebra 1 in the spring, and 36% for Algebra 2 in the spring. These are not good scores. Why are the minimum passing scores not increasing if the new math TEKS implemented in 2014 are so much better than the traditional math? Those of you on this board that chose to do nothing will need to answer to your constituents. You have failed a generation of Texas students by not taking action to correct the TEKS. If you want to see where Texas is headed, all you need to do is look at California, as they are a couple years ahead of Texas. I have been using Freedom of Information Act request and requesting this same data for districts across Texas, and so far, the trends match the NAEP data, and that's shown on this next page. This is enrollment Algebra 1 in 8th grade. The nosedive that California has seen, we will see the same nosedive in the next 2 years. How far will we let Texas students fall before taking action? And I've gone through every STAR assessment from 2014 through 2018, and the tests are getting easier. So our passing scores are staying roughly the same, and the tests are getting easier. That's all.
Any questions of Mr. Houchins?
Question, Randy, did you go into detail about the percentage of the process skills tested, and could you give an example? Okay, in this latest test, right? Okay.
I meant to add this in the report, but it got too late for me to put it in. 41% of the questions on the 3rd grade test are testing process, not mathematics, just process. 41%. 24 in 4th grade, 14% in 5th grade, 18% in 6th grade, 10% in 7th grade, 10% in 8th grade, and 2% in algebra. But 40% in 3rd grade. And look, our 3rd grade scores aren't improving. Tests are getting easier. We're testing process, not mathematics, and the scores aren't improving.
Any other questions about the information? Yes, Mr. Mercer, let's just stick to the specific information because, again, we're not posted to talk about math, and so we want to just stick right straight to any question.
And just can you define, I remember from the debates, but the difference between process versus math?
Is recognizing a picture or recognizing a method of solving the problem, not actually doing the math. That's what I mean by testing a process.
In the real world, I'll stop this. Did they ask you, did your bosses ask you how you did it, or did you get the right answer? Which is more important?
Getting the right answer. If I get the wrong answer, it could kill people. And that's true in almost every industry.
Any other questions about the data that Randy presented today? Yeah, Mr. Maynard.
Randy,
and then Mr. Perez.
Yeah, appreciate your passion, and you are my constituent, and I know that this is a real passion of yours. But I do have one question for you: is that when you say that that the questions are getting easier, can you just tell us just briefly about the methodology in terms of how you arrived at that conclusion?
Well, having taken all the tests, I can see, and I judge it based on the type of question being asked and how quickly I can actually do these tests. I see from 2017 to 2018, the test this year took me, 10 minutes less on each test, roughly. I mean, you can look at some of these, and they don't require any calculation. It's just process. And I see the impact this is having on kids because I'm tutoring kids from 7th grade, 8th grade, Algebra 1, Algebra 2, geometry, all the way up through pre-calculus. And I see the impact this is having on the kids.
And just as a follow-up, so what you're saying then is that the number of questions requiring any sort of computation versus questions that just require a student to recognize a particular representation.
Right.
So the number of questions that are just about representation of something have increased, and the number of questions that require some sort of computation have been reduced.
Decreased, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Perez, I think, did you have a question or no? Okay. And then Ms. Miller.
Mr. Houchins, I would like to know the data that I'm looking at on this chart, the colors, is this your data only, or where are you getting this data from? Because I'm wondering.
This is directly from the TEA sites. So if you look at the raw cut scores that are posted, I don't think I have copies of those. I meant to put those in here. But if you go to the TA website and look for raw conversion tables, this data is pulled directly from that.
Did you share this with TEA just to confirm that the data is accurate?
Well, it's from their website.
Right.
I would assume that it would be accurate.
Thank you.
First of all, thank you for coming back and coming back and coming back. I think what we've got is a Common Core math issue, and don't you agree? And
Absolutely.
that was anyway. I won't go back but I remember that was the first thing to hit me when I came back to the board, because math had been developed while I was gone, and then the books written anyway. But you and your group did the most incredible research on this whole issue, and I hear you now saying that you're tutoring these kids.
Yeah, free of charge, by the way. I haven't made a dime off of any of this math reform.
Okay, all right. Anyway, I assume math is coming up again. You always, so I'm not sure what the date or whatever it is that's coming up, but hopefully, I hope that it can be corrected.
What concerns me is what Dr. Milgram said. Kids that are exposed to this type of education in math for 3 to 4 years never recover.
Oh.
Never recover.
Never. Oh, well, he was so.
We're 4 years in.
Yeah. Okay. I'm so glad that he came and spoke to us. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Any other questions of Mr. Houchins? Thank you, Randy.
Thank you. That man is brilliant. Let me just brilliant.